Hall of Fame head coach Tony Dungy with advice he gives when owners ask for his input about hiring a new head coach.
What am I looking for? And that's what I always, when I talk to people in this position, and I've talked to a few owners in the past, general managers, and here's always my question: what do you want? What type of leader do you want? What are you looking for? And then I can help you determine that. Greatest example I know, Pittsburgh Steelers, Dan Rooney. I talked to him many years ago, and he said, you know what? I've always wanted a defensive coach. We have playing cold weather. We're a blue collar city. We're going to win with defense. I want a young guy because I don't want to do this every 4 or 5 years. So I want somebody who's going to be here 15 years. And I believe that coaching is teaching and communicating. So I'm looking for a defensive minded, young communicator. 1969, he hires a 30-something-year-old Chuck Noll from Baltimore. Okay. 1992, he hires 30-something defensive coordinator from Kansas City, Bill Cowher. 2007, he hires 30-something defensive coordinator Mike Tomlin from Minnesota. That was his, I know what I want. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. And that's what you've got to go by. Not what does the quarterback want? What does the fan base want? What does my MVP player want? No, what do I want? What suits me? Because he's got to mesh with me. I'm going to be here as Steve Bisciotti. I'm going to be here for the next 20 years.
G. Bush, as I listen to that, maybe that's the problem. Maybe they haven't identified exactly what they want. They know what they don't want, but a wide-ranging coaching search that it could be offensive. There's too many variables if you don't focus in on what you want. And I'm with you. I want a guy that's been there. Mike McCarthy's intriguing because he's won. If you put his resume, a blind resume up for Mike McCarthy, it favorably compares with guys like Harbaugh and Tomlin and Peyton. But you look at Mike McCarthy and they think, well, I don't know.
You got to, I like what he said. Hey, you got to identify, you got to do some self-scouting. You got to identify, first and foremost, I would love to be a fly on the wall when they going through these interviews. Because the first thing you got to say is, how married are you to the quarterback, right? So the quarterback, whoever is coming in here, right? The question is, how invested are the Cleveland Browns in Shedeur Sanders? If they are invested in Shedeur Sanders and they're just posturing and saying, okay, we'll look at some other positions, but chances are this is going to be our quarterback moving forward, then I still think that that's in a crazy way. That still points me to Jim Schwartz, because Jim Schwartz has already been around. He's been there. So he's can you convince Jim Schwartz that this is what you're going to do? And he's like, okay, well, I already done worked around it a little bit. I done been around him in the building. We can work with that. But if you getting some guys out on the outside and they're trying to make their hay in this business, they're going to say, well, listen, if I'm going to take the job, any coach wants to have his own quarterback. Any coach wants to have his own coaching staff. Are they thinking if we get an offensive coach, are they going to say, hey, we really like Jim. He's good with Myles Garrett and them over there. He got that solidified. Can we just look the other way? You handle the offense, he do the defense. Again, how many coaches are going to be cool with that? Maybe they already got established places they want to go and different things that they want to do. So for me, I just got to take them for what their word is at it, because Jimmy is telling us, hey, we need a certain amount of wins next year. So if you need a certain amount of wins, how much are you willing to pivot and change massive parts of certain things? So if you want to win, a first-time head coach, and you go out and you draft a quarterback, you got to use assets to get him. How do you? That don't sound like 7 wins to me. That sounds like 3 and a possible. That sound like where we was at this. So I'm looking at the tea leaves and being like, okay, if you got the mandate and you want 7 games, you didn't have to put the infrastructure around to say, okay, if you want me to get 7 games, well, that means I can't turn this over. I better go get me a couple linemen. I can't really get rid of Deshaun Watson because Deshaun, hey, I need to fill the roster. So I need to have that cap flexibility and a dead cap in my future. So there's a lot of things that's going to be a give and take, but I do think Tony said it correctly. You got to go into saying, what do you want? And then having the guts to say, this is what we want to do, and pull the trigger.